Round 6 was a fun one for Fantasy and Supercoach. No, not as much for my teams. I made slight improvements in both, moving from just outside the top 2,000 at 2,036 into a 1,750, which overall is great for this time of the year. I haven't been in this position for, especially last year. I was similar position, I think, the year before when I came 101st and came 750th last year from a position way further back. So very happy with that situation. A couple of things could have gone a little bit differently. Really just the Brimson over Yongi would have picked up 41 points, and instead of a 926 would have been a 967, which would have been absolutely terrific. But we move on. We still have Brimson, and he's making cash now and in a good spot on that one. But the trades of Egan and Couchman served me really well. I actually forget this week that we end up moving to 3 trades from round 7. So that's exciting and also scary in a way. And in a lot of my 5 things I learned videos, when I talk about that fantasy tip that I give it at the end of each video, I've been speaking about using trades in this first section is not really a problem because the max you can use is 2, and you can't get out of hand. Whereas from now, round 7 all the way through to 12, when we're going to get 4, it can get pretty wild. And then when we can use 4 a week, people spend them like the money's going out of fashion. So that's where I think if you can still stay disciplined through this time, even if you are still using 2 a week, that's actually not so bad for this time. It's when you start using a 3 and start going to the 4 that it can become a bit of a problem. So this week, if you can, I think we're in a situation where there's not many players that you might own on the buy. It's probably only Jackson Purdue, the GOAT from the Cowboys, that you might have missing. And we didn't really come out of this week with any injuries that we know of as yet. So it could be a week where I saw someone just say, "Oh, I might have to trade this week," and that's great. If you can use the random weeks there to hold to set yourself up pretty well, then that's great. Personally, I may be looking at a half or a wing fullback for one of the trades just to really shore that up. As you can see here, I have moved Brimson in for Yongi right now, but we're still sitting with a Tamale and Jenkins in that wing fullback slot because Campbell is up in the half section. So we'll have to have a little look at that myself and work out what which player we can muck around with to get in the side. We can also play Sandon Smith in half this week against the Penrith Panthers, which funnily enough isn't the tough opponent that we've seen it be. But the rest of my round 6 results there, we got the increase from Watson, which was great. Got what he rightly deserved, that couple of tackle break run and that try assist as well to get him to 44. And it looks a bit more respectable, and especially in comparison to other guys around that price point. There's some guys that have come out and done really well and some that didn't when we talked about Ponga yesterday. So having him in the side right now is just really, really helping us in weeks where we may make a mistake with captain or our emergencies or something like that. We've got that's really steadying the ship since that poor round 2. And having Haas in there with some of his lower games, it's been a bit frustrating. Definitely since we've bought him. But guys like Couchman and Egan doing a job. This week, we didn't have the massive scores from Nicholson and Wong, the 74 and the 80. But we'll still able to make some ranks, which is great news. And if those two went really well or got 50 each, then we'd be sitting at like 1,200 or something like that. So our point of difference players didn't dominate this week, apart from guys like Campbell. I suppose you could say Couchman's in the middle. Same with guys like and Wong. So Watson as well isn't highly owned. But having guys like our bench worked out really well, apart from that one wing fullback slot with Mamazelis, May, Horsburgh, and Nicholson. Having Campbell in the squad's doing great work. Stafford Tower's almost 500k, which is the same as Jackson Purdue there. So either way, you or I, if you don't have Stafford, you probably have Jackson. Really have both benefited well. Rob Toyer, I expect a better showing from him this week, but it's probably the week that we don't play him. Funnily enough, with I'm personally potentially looking at like a Katonga in, and he might replace Rob Toyer there. We'll see how it plays out, or he sits on the interchange. We'll work it out as it comes. But just a wing fullback's a tough position for me right now. We'll look to address that or half to improve it and go from there. Hubner's making good cash. Sanders Smith still making a little bit there with that 34. Say Fast's the guy at 539 now that will be leaving. And then I think we'll work out one of these wing fullbacks will probably go over the next couple of weeks. So let's just have a quick look at where we're at cash generation wise. Sitting at almost, well, a tick over 12.5 million, which is pretty good. Happy with that. And you can see all the cash gen and losses from the players there. Payne, Hassan, Watson, and Cleary, our three big dogs, losing cash. Brimson up 35 there. Egan up 90, Wong up 31, Couchman 44. Jenkins 32 there. Mamazelis just keeps doing it. He will not be leaving the side. Nicholson another 25. Hubner the 48 was big there and still made a little bit of cash, at least on Yongi from starting with him. And Say Fast just down 6k, so not too bad there. So that's the squad. Let's move into where we're at in comparison to the top rank guys before we get into the leagues and then Supercoach as well to round out this video. 5391, I am on total points. First overall, Thames is on 5,715. So we're sitting there at 324 points back from number one, which isn't too far at all, to be honest with you. If we find how we get to, 300 points away? Is that right? No, we're already 320. How do we get to 200 points away is 5591, which is down in 30th. So 200 points away from 30th, and we'll shout out a few of our legends very, very shortly. But just straight up, we've got Andrew in there in 6 overall from the private crew. So super exciting for him and where he's at, and squad value is great as well at 12.829 million. You can see there, I'm fairly close to a few guys there. There's a few 12.6s, so 100 odd away. In first place, 12.448. So I actually have a higher team value than first place, with others down there. Richard in third place at 12.781, and Ollie in there at 12.394. So there's a few different team values, a few decisions in captaincy in your benches and stuff like that can really propel you up the ranks. So congrats to these guys for being able to pick correctly to get to those top spots. We've got Nigel in there as well. Mr. Booze Clues is in the private crew as well, after coming second a couple of years ago. Shout out to him. Here we go. We got the JBFA crew. Let's go. All right, we'll get into that a little bit further. But I just wanted to show that out there. And let's check his squad out. Given it's a similar situation to where I'm at, it has Crichton and Munster. So Munster hasn't made any cash yet. Pappenhausen slowly making it now with that 56. Has Rinakama, who's not making cash. Yeah, Hopgood, I suppose, has lost a bit as well. So just a couple of those guys there, like Munster and Hopgood, that haven't done the job. But to be first overall with those two players is an absolute credit and testament to how well you've done this year. And just for Andrew in there at 6, to have a look at someone with really high squad value. He's got Tom Cant, Nicholson, Luke Jack Cole this week for Metcalf's 42. Got guys like Katonga, Nafahu Wyatt, Couchman, Stafford Toa. Doesn't even have Jackson Purdue, so yeah, shows that you don't have to get it all perfect. He has Greg Marzu in there, who started well, but has been pretty average since then. Tedesco's been great for him. Yeah, it's no crazy difference with a few really high scoring, good like one extra guy probably than most of our sides, and he's in a really good position. So we'll get Andrew on again sometime in the next little bit to talk through his squad. And for those that remember, he's the guy in the darkness in the car in the video. So there you go. That's the top ranking, guys. And let's move on to the leagues now, where we'll see my the JBFA private that I'm in. I got the win over Braden Trindle's team. Private crew, let's go straight to that. 84th, I'm sitting there at 1700th, which is tough going. We've got Jakey Boy in 33rd position. Great move up from him, who was the leader after round 1. Danielle in there at 37th. Cracking effort there. We've got Kyle in at 39th, so we've got 4 in the top 40. That's crazy. Thomas in at 118th. So, yeah, unfortunately, our boy Brad had a tough one after being in that top 10. He had some low scores in there. Just some unluckiness with Wong, White, brought in Hughes, Fisher Harris, played Tamale, played Yongi, Jenkins, Toya. Just some rough ones there. Didn't play Mamazelis, didn't play Katonga. So, yeah, I'm sure he'll make some adjustments there. Moves to 170th, which isn't bad at all. And Josh, who was in up there early. He's down to 218, which isn't bad at all. But I'm sure you want to get that back up to the top ranks where he was before. So shout out to everyone in there. Thomas, Sally, Nathan, who we've seen on the videos, and you'll get him on the impact the next 3 rounds. He's into 157th, which is great. I think I actually we got a little league together, and my Watson points and the updates from Toa and these types of boys. I think I was like 15 points behind and then end up winning by 4. So shout out to you, Nath. Sorry about that. Hayden and Brandon in 9th and 10th. Now, let's move to the podcasters, where I'm into 5th, which is good. We will take that. And Jordan and Daniel in 1st and 2nd. Nick and Josh in 3rd and 4th. Some good scores from a few of those guys there. We had Jordan at 965 and we had Daniel at 1005. So Captain Haas has cried and picked up, played Purdue, picked up Latrell this week as well, which was fun. So a few good scores in that wing. Fullback was the difference this week in, going ahead. But I'm only 56 points behind first in the podcasters after winning it last year. We're on the right track to go back and win it again. Austin there just behind us. Willie Fanshaw from the Fantasy Fanatics. We've got, who are the other guys that we follow along with? Scoop, unfortunately, has dropped a little bit this week. An 832. We're just a couple of guys not doing the business. Fisher Harris injured. Marzu, Toya, he'll go through his team in his video. And I want to see a rant, Scoop. Can we have a rant? 6,600. Mitchy boy, another tougher week for him. He was after some love and some luck in Japan, and Ponga 27 and Fisher Harris 8 will not do that to you, but he did bring in Couchman and Fogarty this week, so that was good. We got Jai in there, blindside. All right, Eddie, Adrian, and Marky Boy sitting down. Marky Jessup sitting down in sort of 15,000, 14,000 there on the improved to come, and then Nicky Boy with the 907, so a pretty solid score for him. You'll actually hear from him tomorrow. He's switched with Matty this week for. We'll say Nicky's been promoted, as he'd like to call it, to the position where he can talk about all the topics and doesn't feel like it's all been covered. So, yeah, that's that he'll be seeing him tomorrow, which will be awesome. And we'll leave it there for fantasy, guys. Let's go quickly to Supercoach, and it was a 12,004 this week for me, with the season rank now in the top 5K at 4,994, which was solid. And strangely enough, I thought that I was going to lose ranks in fantasy this week and then gain them in Supercoach, and that last couple of games really turned it around, unfortunately, with Pappy going nuts, not owning him, and then having a few of those Knights boys just really slowed it down for me in the back end there. It was that game yesterday. But looking at the squad, what we did, we left 184,000 in the bank. We still only have used two boosts there. We'll see if it's a boosting week. It probably is. We've got a few guys that are on notice as guys we want to get in our sides. But Starling for the 77 was great. Front row forwards, 83 apiece there. Horsburgh, Nicholson, Cant. In the second row forward was good. Didn't play Nafahu White, so that worked out all right, and he'll be leaving the side this week. Thank you, Nafahu, for your service. I did bring in Munster for Brimson, so a slight decrease there. But the winner of the week there was Campbell's 83, Jackson Purdue's 121. Garrick got a 79 as well, which was great. Unfortunately, Captain Gutho in the wrong week for his 54, and you end up losing out on Tamale. Scored 29 with Ponga updating to 34. So just a frustrating one with Ponga, with Greg Marzu, and a couple of 50s here in the centre wing with Gutho as captain. If we had a couple of those things go right, we're absolutely flying again this week. It just hasn't all come together. We haven't got the captaincy right for 3 weeks now, which is tough. We'll have to do a review and sort that out this week. We definitely need a good one. And we'll just quickly look at the Podcasters League as well. It is my partner's birthday today, so this will be my only video of the day before we go traveling to Croatia to celebrate her 25th birthday. Gonna be fun. All right, podcasters, where are we? 22nd out of 104, so we'll take that in this week. And Chris in 29th overall, Guy at 84th, Matthew 122 before we go outside the top 500 to Maxi, Aman, and Dan sitting there. So we've got a few guys to chase up, but let's just look at 30th overall is 7,666. And I'm at 7,271. So almost 400 points behind, which is not crazy at all. And it's definitely in a spot where we can, have a couple of good weeks and push into that top 1,000 pretty quickly. And again, with Supercoach, it's been a better start than the last couple of years, is where I'm at the moment. And haven't used any extra trades, and I have, the previous years, and I felt like I really was pushing to use them in the back end of last year. So happy with the situation. We'll make some trades this week. We've got Preston coming back along with Tino, which is going to be super exciting. I'm keen as to have those guys back. So they'll come straight into the side. But the question here is, we want guys like Fafita. We probably want guys like Dylan Egan as well. And I've got Katoa down on my flex as well. So the second row forward is going nuts right now. How we get them all in is the tough thing. And looks like we're probably going to have to miss out on one of the two guys, unless we do move on from Lockie Hubner, who still has a pretty low break even at 3. It does feel like he's going to be the plotter, I'd say, of the second row forwards. And we will see if Thomas Kant has to leave the side over the next few weeks. But yeah, second row forward is the spot right now. Purdue will come out, and Greggy or Rob Toyer might be time for him to do well against Panthers. We'll sort out captaincy this week. We'll make some moves. Billy Smith could be an option to come in to centre wing as well. And we'll sort out half when Hughes is back fit and firing, when he gets pretty cheap, to be fair. So we'll leave it there, guys. Thanks so much for jumping in for this results video, and we'll catch you in the next one. But firstly, we've got Nicky with his video, then we've got Nath, and we've got Heath coming in with their 3-game impact and going over their teams. And you want to hear from Nath there in 150th or 170th or whatever it is there. See you guys. Have a good one.